Glow P2?
Leo Perninen. It's just D-line.
That's just D-line.
It's just there's no glow to it.
It's taking
Wasn't there a P that was glow?
The P is the Conapiste. It's the IE1 run, the kind of mobile store run.
Mobile store run.
Yeah, exactly. But yeah, no, that's a good
Wait,
one.
this is mixed up. Josh is normally on this side.
I know. Josh is feeling like he wants to be center spotlight, so kick us off, Josh.
What is up? Page sucks. We're here tonight to talk about disc golf, possibly hear some rants from Cody. We're not really sure what's happening. We're out of power. We have power. Here we are. I'd like to welcome your
tonight
favorite
we're going to
guest.
fight the power.
I'm late, so stroke me. Cody Waldron.
Is that Josh? Go ahead and stroke me, Winter. It's been a lonely winter for that guy.
Bring us in, Paige. Bring us in.
Well, you just did. That was a great one.
That was not that. Okay, I'll take it.
Yeah.
What is up?
Why does it always have to be me? What is up, everyone? Welcome to Jammers in the Rough. We got Josh, just stroke me, Winter, and as always, the absolute worst, Cody Waldron, and the man, the myth, the former TSA sponsored athlete, Paige Hurtado.
I like how he had to throw that little jab in there.
Yeah, a little jab at myself, little self-depreciating humor.
Good morning, Jamos.
Yeah, last time
where are you watching this from?
Team Stack. Now this week we got 10 special run constructs.
What makes them
so special?
I was saying,
what makes them special?
So these are the Domi ones. So
what
I learned by TSA is they don't have no glide, and they don't really have like flippy in their run. So with constructs being kind of like that neutral to overstable run of discs, this was a Domi, which gave it glide and made it flippier. So when they're Domier, they get flippier. And so this was a construct that took my CD2 out, can hyzer flip and let it drift and ride over about 420. I don't know. I loved them. So I called the warehouse and
why don't you
sent me a stack of 10 because CD2s are life.
Oh my
CD2s are back in the bag, baby.
So even though that was a better disc for you at the moment, you're like, nah.
Yeah, I'm a petty man, but also I shot 1,000 rated bag the first week of not being on TSA, 1,000 rated round. So, not
show the stamp. They want to see what the stamp looks like.
No, you don't get to see the stamp, guys.
No, just hey, you gotta tip us $27.
It's blind buy it now, $160.
Ooh, I like this one. CD2s are mid.
See, I am 100%. That would be my
CD2s fly like a mid. That's why I love them.
What you can do with your mids, overrated mold
CD2s.
CD2s are not that good.
Oh, you guys are just bad players.
It's just
that's the MA3 representation right there.
I got moved up to open for my MA1 open for my league.
Oh, you're too good, I guess. You're great.
No, I was MA2. I was MA2 and I finished second out of like 30 some people. So they moved me up. They said I had no choice.
But second out of 30 people though, bro. That's
for the whole league,
awesome.
Baby. And then at the end of the year tournament, I lost by one stroke to the leader.
Why wouldn't they let you sandbag that?
I know. I was trying to get an MA4.
Yeah. I mean, it should be rating based, not like results based.
My rating is probably like 672.
672.
And it's like the SATs. Just for signing up, they give you 600 points.
Spelling your name correctly is another 50.
Yeah, I didn't do that right.
Actually spelling it out Maryland instead of MI.
MI? That's Michigan.
No.
Also, it's only saying Facebook user. Lame, you guys don't know who I am now. Cracks PBR. See, Cracks PBR. Have some lurch.
That's not Jerry Ann. Jerry Ann's too Canadian. Yeah, Jerry Ann's probably drinking like
7 foot tall right there.
I've seen them both drinking.
That sounds like a lurch.
But we are. There is a feature that you can make it where you can see.
You've been talking about that for months, and
I know.
The feature's like $20 extra a month. So who wants to sponsor our segment?
I don't think it costs anything. Where are all these tips
either.
We got?
It doesn't. They go into a mysterious account that
we never see.
Yeah,
our YouTube wall.
We're just trying to get a stamp.
Monetization is currently on hold due to some legal actions being taken against him.
Who is?
No, I'm just.
I got legal stuff.
I'm just talking shit for no reason because I just enjoy talking shit.
And rightfully so.
Mm-hmm.
All right, boys.
So.
All right, boys, he says. I don't know. Lurch is in the house, and I gotta watch what I
Boys to
say.
men.
What's up?
What?
I don't
I
know.
said
Josh,
boys
look
to
at
men.
Josh. Josh looks like he's listening to something.
Yeah, I was reading
Not
something.
us.
Hey, so Cracks PBR, the sounds of Lurch. Perfect.
Are you
Getting
that
called out
slow?
just
That
by-
was like 8 comments ago.
It is. No, there's another one. It's another one.
Josh is taking a little bit of shrooms before he came here tonight,
That's
and he's
true.
in a
I can't
different
help it.
world. He's in his.
Microdosing.
All right.
He's having flashbacks of his, Carney adventures.
Oh,
Dude, that's
did that
coming
happen
up.
yet?
No,
I
that's
saw,
like 2 months.
Second weekend of July.
Yeah,
I
the
saw you
Renaissance Fair.
post on your private profile, like, hey, get your tickets for. I almost said like get signed up for the Carney Fund, but I was like, that's his personal page. I'm not going to do that to him.
Well, I appreciate it. I appreciate it.
Yeah, he's kind of respected there still. He's lost all the
Yeah.
respect in the disc golf world, but when it comes to the Renaissance Fair,
The
Oh,
Renaissance.
still
The
supported.
Renaissance Fair.
No, my man.
Renaissance.
My man has seen How I Met Your Mother, the Renaissance.
The Renaissance.
All right, you got a disc review this week?
Of course, I
Paige?
got this. Let's cue this up. I want to start this off right. So this week, we highlighted the Wren and the Cardinal by Stokely Discs, which I'm excited for. And if you guys haven't seen his Facebook page, this is a breath of fresh air, right? We always talk I'm always on here bashing manufacturers for not thinking of brick and mortar. Stokely came out and was just like, hey, first dibs to brick and mortar for all of our first runs. I'm not going to release them to the public yet. Go to brick and mortars. I thought that was a great stance to take. Because clearly he listens to our podcast and he heard what I had to say.
I mean, he has been on our podcast, so
He has been on our podcast, but I thought that was awesome because he's thinking about manufacturers. He's thinking about getting it into hand feel before just buying it blindly, which I thought was kind of cool. Additionally, he's doing something unique where he's not assigning flight numbers to it quite yet. He's wanting the users to vote on the flight numbers and send in the recommendations, what I think is kind of cool. So that kind of cues us up for this week's Pages Jammers.
I
Brought to
will
you by
say
All Day Discs.
AGL does something similar. I've seen where
Well,
they will
we're
put
not
out a
talking about
disc.
AGL.
I'm just saying.
We're
I'm
not
sorry
talking
for making
about
a
AGL.
comparison.
That's all
They
I'm
make-
saying.
Oh my gosh. Okay. Sorry for even talking.
All right,
My
let's
bad.
do this.
It's okay. This isn't no. Do they? I didn't
Oh
know
yeah.
they did-
Also, Colin was busy, so I did an edit.
Why does
yeah,
he look
so-
like a traffic cone wearing pants? What is this? So much denim.
I know, right?
So
So we got
I feel like you're in Canada.
We're in Canada.
Where's
So
the
this is
sound?
my first throws. I think this is the Cardinal.
It's a
Surprised
Cardinal,
me with
yeah.
how beefy it is. Oh no, that's the Wren. That's the
Oh my
throwing putter.
gosh.
The putter is not a throwing putter for me. It is not torque resistant at all. You'll see in another video of me trying to make the adjustment. This though is
Well,
beefy.
you let that go on a big Annie though.
Yeah, I did. I had to push it on a
But look
Henny,
how beefy that was.
and this is about 320, 330, but it doesn't have the hard fade. That's what I liked about it. It's not always pushing left. Here's another one, kind of throwing it Spike Heiser,
As
this
it
one-
disappears.
and then just disappears and goes out of bounds about pin high. So, and here's my touch.
So
Look
much
at my
red.
touch, guys. This is the new Page touch. Wha-bam! Early release, as always.
Did you hit that tree?
Yeah.
Okay.
So we're gonna let the kid, who obviously throws much better than me, throw it. He'll show you how it's designed to fly. This is something that out of his 3 disc allotment with Castoplast, he is probably going to start to bag these because he did like the Cardinal that much. He throws with much more spin, so he can get or stretch out the flight out more, and showing you how to throw a throwing putter. They go straight. Oh, this one. So this is thanks to Jamie Lee Moore. This is not a Cardinal. This is a blooper. Ha ha! I'm slipping everywhere. So we're back to the Wren, guys. The throwing putter. I think this really shines as a putting putter. It kind of gives me vibes of the Marvel. Kind of just point and shoot with a little bit extra glide and kind of just goes exactly where you want it to go. As a throwing putter, if you have more spin and touch, it does go straight and hold any line. If you have torque, they do start to flip. The Cardinal is kind of your beefy counterpart. Kind of think Ursus, think Justice. I don't think quite for the forehand, but for the backhand, they're continuously handling all the spin that Dallas can muster, which is about 1,400, and they handle about my 70 mile per hour speed. Here you can see me try to throw a little bit flatter, and it just likes to get out of the air and dump. So if that's your kind of style of disc, that's all for you. I think the plastic surprised me the most. It's somewhere between not quite pro plastic, but not quite star plastic. It does have a unique feeling to it. For putting plastic, it feels really good. For the Cardinal, it reminds me of something that maybe is going to beat in a little bit quicker and be a little bit straighter. So I don't know if this is their premium plastic or if they're intending to get updated plastic for it. But kind of think DX Rock, where it might have a different flight brand new that starts to kind of season into a really nice flyer.
It feels really nice in the hand, though. I like the way it
Yeah.
feels plastic.
It's also beadless. This is what I should say. We're talking about overstable mid, so kind of being a traditional mid-range flying without the bead. I think that's kind of makes it unique. Here's my touch putter shot. Clearly, I have early release issues when I try to throw touch. Here's the Sam Bazooka Benson. This is his first throw with it. I think it's the Cardinal. Oh no, he's showing me how to throw a throwing putter. So holds any lines with you. If you guys, throw putters really well, I think you really like them. But like I said, they shine on the putting green. It's kind of like a marvel to me.
All right, so you tested 2, correct?
Yeah, the Cardinal and the Wren.
Is the Cardinal the
mid-range overstable?
All right, so what would be the closest thing you would say? Because people are saying like, oh, it's 7 seed, 6 seed. If you had to compare it to the closest disc, or maybe give some flight numbers, what would you say?
I was thinking maybe like that kind of 5.5, like maybe 1.2. I don't think I always think the 1 is kind of reserved for like the tilts. I don't think it's quite a tilt, but it's like, kind of Pyro-esque is maybe what I would compare it to.
So Pyro is like a minus 0.5 or something like that.
Yeah,
right?
so it might be like that. Minus 0.5 might be good. So 5.5 minus 0.52. It doesn't have as much fade as some of those like more overstable discs where you're gonna get a big flare and big skip. I always think about my first throw with it where I was like cranked it on Annie and then it kind of just sat. And that's what I kind of liked about it, is that sometimes like these type of discs like really zoom. And for the throwing putter, I think it's be a 3-3 -1-1. Just likes to go straight, kind of the Mako of maybe 3-3-0-0, even kind of like the Mako of putters. You can't really put torque into it, but if you throw a touch of spin, a little bit nose up, it's going to hold true. But like I said, it shines on the putting green. I think what surprised me most, so Dallas has been putting with Wardens since I've known him, since he was 11 years old. And so he's been putting with these Wrens, and he just played an A tier, which he top 5'd at last weekend. But within a week of putting with the Wrens, he jumped onto that. And I think that kind of just speaks testaments of how good of a putting putter there are. And noticeably from Circle 2, where he's getting that predictable fade and trusting it in the basket. So the fact that in less than a week's notice, he jumped instantly on these as putting putters after 5 years of being on Wardens kind of speaks testament of how good of a putting putter they are. And he top 5 to 8 tier with it.
And no bead for both, right?
No bead for both.
See, I'm a fan of that, because a Warden is beadless. I use an EMAC Judge, which is a micro.
Sorry, I meant not 5 glide. Somebody corrected me. Yeah, 5.4.52. They're not super glidey, but they still have a little bit of get up and go.
Yeah, one thing I liked about the mid-range one, though, it can take a lot of torque.
A lot of
mid-range one can take torque. Yeah,
can take a lot of torque. Can take a lot of spin. Like I said, my throwing power is about 70 miles per hour. And it's handling all of that. And then Dallas's spin is about 1,400, and it was handling all of that. Hashtag check out your local tech disc retailer and identify your spin and speed.
Yeah, I spent about 14.
But I'm curious about the plastic.
About 14.
That's the one thing. Like, this is like their first iteration of their plastic, so it's probably their baseline. And
like X line from Discmania.
No.
Oh.
Like I said, somewhere between like P blend and S blend without being I blend. It's unique. I don't know how to explain it other than that. It has a little bit of tack onto it, but they'll probably season extremely nice. The putters will probably go from stable to flippy. I'm just curious to see what the plastic he has in store for him. I think for his first 2 molds, choosing a good traditional putter that just likes to go straight and an overstable mid is never wrong.
Never.
All right, Mr. Waldron.
Ooh,
hear
that's
this
why I
hot
get
take you
called
got.
all day.
Mr.
So check out your Stokely
Waldron.
discs.
Stokely discs.
Where would you find that? John, you got a website? Throw that on there, StokelyDisc.com, or go to your local retailer.
Do you think it's that easy to do?
Brick and mortar, y'all.
Brick and mortars. I went to StokelyDiscs.com. I think that's what it was. That's where I got mine.
Yeah, I think he has a few up there too, just kind of like the pre-releases.
Whenever
Yeah.
you say brick and mortar, I always think of Rick and Morty. So
Ah, Brick and Morty.
Brick and Morty.
pickle Rick. All right.
Or Disco Rick.
Hot take: Paige is not a disc golfer. That's it.
Nope.
He's not good. My hot take this week, you've probably seen, and my hot take is brought to you by Soul Crusher, Manny, who we just had on last week, and should be coming on maybe next week.
When he feels like it.
In
We
2
try to
weeks,
get
yeah,
him
Manny-
monthly.
We're on Manny time. We are just here for Manny. We're kind of the vessel for him to get his word out. That's
Got
all
the
we
Manny
are.
time, and
We
I'm gonna
fill
get that
time.
petty time.
When Manny's not on, Paige comes on and rages. Josh and I just kind of sit here and take it, and then we go to our therapist later on during the week, talk all about it later. But yeah, Manny, check out Soul Crusher, doing great things. We're hoping he's making us a stamp, Manny.
He is. You got to manifest it. He's doing it.
Stokely bringing it with the innovative boomer marketing.
Where is that at?
It's in the chat. It cracks me up.
Oh, I mean, he does look like an uncle that goes to a barbecue and like yells at you, and I love it. Like, hey, you think that's how you should throw a disc? Let me show you how to throw there, boy.
Back in
Cracks
my
open-
day, I used to
yeah,
throw
cracks open one. He's like, yeah.
his PBR.
Hey, all right. My hot take is, what the heck is going on with trophies in disc golf? I have seen some magnificent trophies, and I have seen some straight turds. And just this past week, since we got on Tuesday, if you looked, some of the trophies that they made for the Elite Series were pretty well made, well done, well thought out. People are like, that's a real trophy. But as you went down in division, it got worse and worse. And I think the juniors one was like this big, and it was just like, you won. It looked like a mini. So what do you think should be the discrepancy? Some people are saying, well, the elites make the most money, they should have the best trophy, where juniors are not bringing in, kind of the whole men's soccer. If you follow that, where they said men are getting paid this much, women get paid this much, they bring in more money, they get more stuff. Or do you think that those should be fair, where the Elite Series trophy is the same as the junior winner trophy? We are supposed to be growing the sport. So what is your take on that?
Do you have?
Yeah,
the
I don't
picture,
think
Josh?
the elite series trophy should be the same as a juniors trophy by any means. Because the elite series, that's like the top performers. They're coming out, the best athletes to compete. Big trophy makes sense. But on the other side of the spectrum, giving out a piece of carved biscuit to a junior at an elite series event, I feel is a little underwhelming, and they should put more effort into the trophies they're giving out to the other divisions.
Do you have the picture, Josh?
The picture? Oh,
Yeah.
let me find out while you
Picture
talk. I'll locate it.
And so I will say you're right. Like, obviously, it's a major. So the elite FPO should have like this nicer trophy. But I think division down should have some consistency and flavor of that trophy, right? Like, we had that big little whatever it was tree looking thing for the major. Cool, but have a mini version of that, or have something that they can take home and show off. The lower you got the division, not only would it become like a woodchuck that you might see at outdoor school around people's necks, but I've seen C tier and B tier trophies with more effort than this. For USWDGC, it was a major. And whether you're junior, MP, or what is that, FP 60, 50, whatever division you are, it's still a major for you. And just because you're not playing in the elite series, there's still a big chunk of money that you had to pay in order to be there. And winning a little woodchuck that's probably worth $20 isn't the highlight what a major
even
should be about. When there could be effort being put in there, because clearly you can show with the FPO trophy, hey, here was effort that was put in. See, we don't have to do it. We just choose to not do it for you. And that's where, like, I think the line starts to blur, is when you're starting to kind of pick apart like who you're actually playing favoritism to and biases to. And a large chunk of the pot for FPO is going to come from some of the amateur players or the lower divisions, because they're not playing for cash. And so it's easy to convert some of that cash to it. And they take the player packs where they're like, oh, here's a $200 player pack, but really it's a shit player pack that's probably worth $50 that nobody wanted in the first place, which is a whole other conversation. But I think some effort needs to put in the trophies, and it wasn't felt at the major. That's for damn sure.
All right, so we got this one,
which is a good trophy. That's an exciting trophy.
That's a nice trophy. And also that I like how that ties into that iconic hole where you're throwing through there. So that you would know, hey, I know where this is from. It's from USDGC, because this, well, not only the letters, but also
the fact that it says it.
And I will say here, like, what I'm saying is, like, no, not everybody deserves this, but take your little puck, instead of doing a woodchuck, do a fucking butterfly. You do a butterfly out of that wood, and it's still on flavor of the trophy in that same major, and it's still on theme, and they feel better about something because, like, I understand not everybody can have this, which I also don't understand, because really, how much do you think this trophy is costing? But besides the point, but it's on flavor. So let's go to the next one, Josh.
Let's see, which one did you send me?
So we go from this trophy to this trophy.
Now, granted, that's third place. Now, do you think, since that's third place, do you think first place got a larger trophy?
No, first place is.
There you go. Yeah, there's first place. Actually, third place looks better. I like third place better. You could use it as a mini.
But this jumps it down to what? Is this FJ18, 16? What's this one?
FA2. But still, I bet you they're similar.
FA2 is better than junior. Third place is better than first place junior. I'm just showing there's a discrepancy, and I think this is a good indicator of showing that clearly there's a bias and there's a lack of excitement in these trophies, where third place is better than first place junior. And this is a building block. FJ18 just won a major. This could be the catalyst for them going pro and trying to pursue the FPO, or this could be a catalyst like, what if they start to like push towards nationals and win nationals this year, and how they're going to build a career and define their career, because most famously, like Kyle Klein won NADGT nationals and leveraged that to a big contract with Tasmania, to where now he's on the Sky team, and everything kind of perpetuated from that amateur win. So something like this could perpetuate that, and what you're rewarding and the differences of this, I think, takes away from that excitement, which should be a pinnacle moment for an FJ18 player.
So realistically, if they made a trophy like that, but on a smaller scale or just even more compact, how much really more are we talking for the whole event? $200, $300? They couldn't get someone to sponsor, or why don't they get contract out a local tech school? Hey, can you create us trophies? Then you're getting the community involved. Then you're getting students who might be excited about disc golf involved, and you're probably going to get a good product. Most of those tech highs and schools that do stuff like that put out good work.
No, exactly.
Why not?
Grammy's trophies, as identified by Jammers in the Rough, makes good trophies, and they're not. I mean, when they did my tournament, they weren't trying to be like, all right, Paige, here's $1,000 and this is what you're going to get. They worked with me on a price point that worked for us, and the trophies turned out nice. And when I do my tournament, I'm more excited to go back to them. But there's a lot of same thing with dyers. There's a lot of dyers that are dying to dye discs for people, and they'll give them to people for free. Like, oh, Heimberg, look, here's a free dye disc. Can you throw it? And he'll throw it and give it away or whatever. Those are things that happen just to get that publicity. You get a trophy maker that's trying to do this, they're going to get excited, and I don't know.
They might do it for free, honestly, if it gets their name out there. That's like you said, free publicity. Think about jewelry, who just had Eagle McMahon. You've had Mike Kemp dyes in pros bags. So yeah, I mean, I guarantee those disc dyers or anyone that would be making a trophy.
I would love to see a scaled down version. But like I said, even if you don't want to do a scaled down version, there's 3 things that you can pull from this. There's the little arch frame. Do one for that for FP like 40. Do that, and then do butterflies for the junior 18. Do the round logs for FA2 and FA1. It's all on theme, and it all makes this trophy. And so it's like, okay, cool. It might not be this one big trophy, but for like, because what is that little wood puck? $20, $40?
Not even that, dude.
Not. I'm being generous. This is what they're claiming it is, right? They're probably claiming it's $100. But because there is a place on the tournament thing that you have to put your trophy, how much your trophy is worth. So realize they're over claiming that. But even though the wood log that it's cut on, that's not going to be much more, but it looks the same, and people are going to be excited about that. I don't know. It does kind of, it really grinds my gears that these are the
Oh
trophies
my
that we get.
gosh. Josh,
But
put
this
that
com-
last comment up there. That's awesome. I was thinking about that when we talked about trophies, like Barsby and that axe.
Yeah, but
I
in
think we
junior
need to
disc
put more
golfers,
battle axes.
because who's gonna appreciate a katana more, a grown ass man or an 18-year-old kid? Guaranteed that 18-year-old kid's gonna get the katana that's like M or FJ18 and just be like absolutely shitting themselves, be like, oh fuck yeah, the whole rest of
As
their life.
they cut off their own limb. But okay.
Like, what was it? The
Let's do
axe with merch at Jonesboro that she's walking around with it. Like, I want to see more of that. Like a trophy that they're excited about. You got a fucking
Give me something
chessboard with
functional.
Barella who didn't even have it engraved on the back or anything. Yeah, the rumor is that it's going to happen, but not for that moment. And yes, it's an expensive chessboard, but it's just like, okay, cool. Probably the least likely guy to play chess on tour has a chessboard.
Whoa.
What does that mean?
What are we saying
What
here?
makes him?
I'm talking about
What makes him the
Arizona
most
don't play
least
chess.
likely?
They barely play
Wow.
checkers.
Him and Brody are
And they
just
sure as
playing
hell don't play
rock, paper,
Chinese
scissors.
checkers.
That's
There's
messed
another
up.
one comment here. The no more handwritten divisions on disc
Oh, that's
winners.
the worst. When the person forgets, you're like, oh hey, like MJ18, Division 1 winner, first place. Here you go. I have a buddy, Colin, CH Sports. He got given a disc that said, "Hey, MA1 champion. Here's a Scorpius." In
I hope it
Sharpie.
was like a cheap base plastic
It
disc.
was. It was when NEDDT was doing the like cheap Scorpius plastics.
Love it.
But
Wow. Talk about hot take. Now, is that
Yeah.
my hot take or Paige making fun of Barella for being dumb?
huh?
Yeah.
I didn't
Both.
say dumb. I just said he doesn't play
there was
chess.
an implication.
I'm
You
just
know,
saying chess is a thinking man's game, and that guy don't think. That's why he's so good at disc golf.
that guy don't think. Wow. Way to
Also,
say that properly.
I'm just saying, local unsanctioned tournament had a better trophy than that woodchuck. There's at least color.
That's a pretty good one. But the with Barella though, he went from not winning an Elite Series tournament
We're
to
not
having
talking
2
about
under his
Barella.
belt.
Everyone's talking about
You
Barella.
did.
This isn't
You
your
just
this
did.
isn't your new segment. This is Cody's hot take.
No,
Don't
I'm done.
segue.
Well, you brought up Barella.
Don't segue, Josh.
Hey,
We're
his
staying on
I'm
track.
segueing.
Diamondback jersey was legit.
Yeah.
I love that retro like Diamondbacks jersey. Get
I'm
me
just-
one.
I just like last weekend, Barella 1100 rated round to Gannon Burr pushing 1100 rated round and losing by 1. Disc golf is getting exciting right now, and you had what 1050 like average to be top 10. It's just the day and age of disc golf is booming, and anyone can
Is it,
win, but
though?
also nobody can win. Got
Everyone
Rathbun,
loses.
Rathbun popping off with top 6.
Yeah, damn right.
Where's he at?
Past couple ones.
He's currently unsponsored, proving that it was the discs all along that was holding him up. Put some of that old Discmania goodness back in his hand, and look how good he's
So
doing.
it's the arrows, not the archer.
Oh, absolutely. I've been pushing that more lately.
So you're okay.
I'm pushing the arrows.
We're
I'm
talking about
pushing
that next
arrows
time.
more and more because technology is getting so advanced that I think the arrows, if you get the arrow in the right person's hand, it's going to be doing something different. And you need to explore it. It's 100% the arrow.
Texas barbecue for I want some.
First time
We're at in
watching.
Texas. We're
Thanks
at in
for joining.
Texas. My wife is from Texas. We were just there this last summer. I played some disc golf in Texas with some locals. I did have some Texas barbecue.
Roy G. Guerrero, one of my favorite courses ever.
Roy
that
G.
needs to be on
Biv. What
tour.
did you just say?
Roy G.
No, I
Guerrero,
played Harry Myers. Harry Myers.
Harriet Tubman,
Okay.
Secret Trails.
Do not make fun of Harry Tubman.
I'm
Don't you dare.
not. I'm not. He's
You
got
are-
tunnels
you
of
are
disc
going-
golf.
Well,
So,
welcome to Texas barbecue.
Josh, spotlight's on you
It is.
Make your face big. I want to see it.
Why?
because it's your news. What the fuck? This is your,
Hey,
your
you know,
segment.
Paige.
Okay, first off, Paige, you need to just calm your shit down.
All right, guys.
Where's my camera? All right, so we can jump over. It's not going to be about the tournament though. But this segment is brought to you by our sponsor, Rare Air Discs. Rarediscs.com. They have rare discs, they got new discs, they got all the discs you could ever need. You can find a lot of hard to find discs on that website. You can use discount code JAMMERS for 10% off, and they will hook you up. Real good people over there. Yeah. I want to talk about the fact that Discmania is no longer going to be producing plastic,
Distributing
in Colorado,
plastic.
or distributing plastic there, and they're moving everything over to where House of Discs are going to start distributing all their manufacturers at the same exact spot. At least try
I feel like they've already been doing it. Hot take.
and then they, the fact that that's all moving, a lot of DM people losing their job. You got Stamp God putting out a post, thanking everyone for his time, asking to see if there's another manufacturer they'll take him on. He's a damn good stamper. And
Well, he has a social media following too, which brings a different
Yeah.
and different.
That's what I don't
perspective to it.
understand. Why did they fire the guy that probably does more for them than anything else?
I don't think they fired him. Like, you got to think about it. DM is in Colorado. Kansas is what, 3 states away,
Mhm.
2 states away.
Yeah.
You get that. Like, that's not an easy move. If you have a family, if you have roots, if you just enjoy Colorado, who's gonna fucking leave the mountains for flatness? I mean, it just doesn't make sense. So it's like, even if they offered him the job, which I'm sure they did because of his social media presence and his ability to stamp a disc, because it's not just something simple of disc, boom, move, disc, boom, move. There's a lot that goes into it. And so it's like, that's my assumption, is that he didn't want to go to Kansas. Also, like I said, we're talking about brick and mortars, right? And the relationships. I'd be curious to see how many brick and mortars have a negative relationships with dynamic discs in Kansas, compared to how many people have negative relationships with Discmania. And you're foregoing some of that positive rapport, because I'm leaning to bet, because I've talked with a lot of the warehouse people of the above and beyond. I've heard countless times, oh, there goes the best customer service in the game, blah, 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 blah. To go into more of like a very cut, dry business. Like, we're not here to make friends in disc golf. We're here to sell you product. And, it just changes the dynamic of it.
That was terrible. That's terrible. Terrible.
Colorado is flat
feel-
too, aside from the giant ass fucking mountains. I guess
Dude,
you're right. I guess you are absolutely right.
Hey, Maryland has Appalachian Mountains, baby.
Isn't it? So the Rockies, say the Rockies right here. Denver's right next to it, right? Like right at the edge of the
Mhm.
Rockies. Yeah. So I passed through Denver. It is a crazy thing to experience, to be in Denver and like look at the Rockies on one side and completely flat the other direction.
Yeah,
Makes
no,
you feel this
Denver's
big.
like Denver and Boulder are some of my favorite areas I've ever been. There was one time in Denver where like this dust storm hit in, and it was the gnarliest thing to be walking around in. Super dangerous. You had the little sirens going off, the
Mhm.
little tornado warnings. Yeah,
That's scary.
but back to DM.
Yeah. Well, I mean, not just DM, just like more so like the House of Discs.
I don't know, but
How
I
do
think
you guys feel about them acquiring all these companies? Do you feel like we're gonna start seeing more?
Paige just said, I'm done.
He just raged through his computer. We're gonna see more other manufacturers feeling the same, flying the same, plastic quality going down.
I think
Anything
if
like
it's
that?
successful, yes.
Wait, there was a lot of questions Josh just asked, and you just said yes.
Well, if
You got to
it's like,
expand on that, homeboy.
so I think a lot of people are comparing it to like, oh, it's no different than Innova with Infinite and Millennium, and I think it is different, right? Because yes, Innova manufactures and kind of controls how much and what ability they have to the plastic, but Infinite still operates very independently, right? Infinite is one of the biggest distributors out there. They also stamp all of these discs and do all of these things, and they operate independently from Innova. What House of Discs is doing is bringing it all under the umbrella and limiting the ability to operate independently of these companies. To where the distribution now, it's not necessarily that it might be different discs, it might be different molds, different plastic, whatever, but the person that's controlling it all is the same individual. And I think that's where it's going to. But if it's successful, I think you will start to see those reins being pulled. Which, you know, ultimately we vote how successful we want it to be with our dollars. So be hesitant when you're buying some of these discs and what that starts to look like, because it is about Discmania for me, because you are displacing a lot of individuals in this community that had like ties and grassroots to it. Manny comes on here. He's and I'm gonna have to ask him next time he's on here. He's one of the artists for Discmania. If they're gonna bring it in house, is he going to continue it? Because we just saw the first finally collab between Handai and Discmania, which to me it seems like a wave goodbye to Colorado. Welcome to this, like, you know, kind of new cult of ours, and come enjoy this. But the person that's setting the priorities now isn't UC, it isn't Discmania. I just think, I mean, it's going to become more and more about profit margins for them, losing the flavor.
But don't you think it's always been that?
Yes and no. I mean, I think there's an identity behind it. Yes, we understand Discmania needs to make money, just like all these companies do. But there was at least identity. You take that away, like when it, like even like Trilogy, right? It didn't become about Trilogy. It was like probably one of the least bought like discs out there, least identifying. You couldn't tell which one was which, who had the felon, who had the hatchet, who had all of these things. It was just, oh, this is a Trilogy disc, and they lost a lot of that identity in their discs.
And now that they have all these manufacturers under one house, it is. Somebody just talked about it in the chat about it. You know, it's basically a monopoly of. It's starting the monopoly of it. So they decide the prices
for sure.
So if they come out with like a special run of a manufacturer that you are, there's diehard DM fans, there's diehard Castaplast fans, and they come out with a special run, they choose the price on that, and they can be like, yeah, you want these special runs, $35. There's nothing super special about it, but it's unique to you, and we know you're going to pay it because we own the market. The more companies they collect, they drive the price. They can decide to raise prices on whatever they want, and most likely they will. Like, this is a business move. It's a smart business move. It's just shitty for disc golfers and the consumer.
And I think it's also interesting that like the whole like DM, hey, we're gonna do it different. Let's leave Innova and be our own manufacturer, only to be like, nah, let's keep doing it the same and right back into this umbrella. So I'll be curious to see how much of a hit DM has taken over the last few years in regards to like profit margin, in order to not only force the sellout, but then now also force the warehouse jump from Colorado to Kansas.
Yeah, I mean, I feel like COVID has like rippling effects, because I feel like they did really, really well, but they sold out, and so every manufacturer started like amplifying all their creation of discs. Market took a dip, and everyone's sitting on discs. They're sitting on stock discs because they made too many of them, and I feel like that in the end is going to be probably the downfall of a lot of the companies of overproduction.
Yeah, I also think too, because this was, how long do you think this has been in the work? January, December, however long?
Probably longer.
Probably longer.
Think about the Supreme plastic when it came out, the Escape, and if you looked at the plastic on the back of the Creator Series Cloudbreakers, were the exact same thing.
Yeah. Well, and the same thing with like the swirly plastic. But I think what I get curious about is, like, I think about the people and the individuals, right? We think about Stamp God because he's the most publicly made a story about looking for a new job. Do you think they were silenced from looking for jobs, talking about this? Like, how long do you think the employees knew that this was coming without the opportunity to actually look for gainful employment elsewhere? Like, I mean, I just
probably not that long.
Like, and I got frustrated because I didn't like pursue sponsorships because I missed my window. And so now I'm in this point to where it's like, okay, cool, I got a sponsor, thankfully, but like without that extra sponsor, I could easily not have a sponsor this year. And that's not even a job, right? Like, we're already in the midst of the season. Stampers already, like, the stamps are hired, the factory warehouse people are hired. So when you have a displaced staff that maybe had to be silenced because of this acquisition, and they didn't want this leaking, because it would be bad press. They want to focus on Ganon and the profit of Ganon and the new team and the success of Antala and the success of Klein. That this was silenced till finally like, okay, cool, we're at this peak of peaks. Now we can take a little bit of a blow to rebuild. I just think about like how maybe long they've known and potentially, were halted from pursuing like careers elsewhere.
I bet you think about any other major corporation. Think about how many times they just come in and say, "Hey, we're laying people off." It's not usually you're finding out months ahead. I bet you when Stamp God posted that, he probably knew maybe within that week. I'm not sure. I have no
Not my
clue without
sources.
talking.
That's all I'm saying.
So you're saying that you think people were silenced?
Yeah, I mean, not silence. I'm saying like I think the warehouse people have known longer than this last couple of weeks. That's all I'm saying, and that's kind of where I get
And
to where it's like,
I don't think that would be a bad thing. I mean, if I knew I was going to get laid off, I'd want to know as far ahead of time as possible, just so I could find another job.
when the people
But then, but then
Oh,
you also know, like companies notice that when they tell people, "Hey, we're laying you off in 2 months," they also realize that those next 2 months they're probably not getting their best work from a majority of staff. I'm not saying Stamp God's quality went down, but just think if someone came to you and said, "Hey, we're firing you in a month. It's been nice having you," and you worked for them for years, you're probably thinking, "Oh, I'm burning this place down."
I'm kind of curious to see if like Stamp Guard was like, boom, boom, 2 for you, boom, 1 for me, and then being able to kind of
I would
purchase them
take the
at a
person that
discount.
job for sure.
I'm excited for
Sure.
the like May 1st that week, May 1st through the 5th or 7th or whatever, of the Discmania warehouse gems that might be coming into the market. That's what I get excited for.
You think they would get some? I mean, I've seen some of them lately. I don't know who they're coming from, but as far as everything being made by one manufacturer, I think there will be some positives. I think there will also be a lot of negatives
What?
because anytime
What are the
you
positives?
positive, I would hope for maybe more consistency. Granted, that's not always the case because I always go back to like Innova. How many destroyers are made in so many different flippy to overstable, and they're all made in house. But I would like to think if you are setting up guidelines for consistency, it might help. But again, I'm not sure. I don't know how are they splitting their manufacturing between a bunch of different places. Then it's probably not going to do much. I think we will see more collaborations. Like you talked about Handai. Handai did stuff for Discmania long time ago. But as soon as I saw that, I was just like, I wonder if they're opening up that because he had an exclusive deal with Trilogy for so long. Now that Trilogy and Dynamic and Discmania are owned by the same, they were probably like, here, try some new stuff. So I think there will be some positives where you might see some cool stamps that you would normally only see on certain things on other stuff. I mean, Handai even did it with Castoplast. When House of Disc bought Castoplast, you saw Handai stuff on Castoplast disc. So there could be some cool stamps for all the people that work for them, a la Stamp God and all that stuff. It sucks. It really does.
And just speaking of DM too, like how much, like I said, like this is where like I go back, like how long has this been known or talked about or floated around or rumored? Because also like with Eagle leaving pretty famously this offseason, do you think this maybe was a factor and he was kind of aware from it too? Because he's a homeboy in Colorado, so if the warehouse is being moved from his home state, like no longer can he just drop in and hang out or do these things or do random signings, and it becomes more of like part of that navigation. Because if you're trying to recruit that big of a player, I think being transparent with like some of your business plan might be, especially if like UC is on his way out and he's selling more and more parts of his share because girls in Sweden are just so much more expensive than Amsterdam, like just selling more and more of his shares to get out of the business, or what that looks like, right? Like all of that to
And I will say from my point of view, I'm not a fanboy of any company. I bag everything and anything. I'm as open bag as you can get. So it was not as big. Like I know you guys are big Discmania, CD2.
Like I said, I'm more about people rather than like the companies.
Yeah,
If
so
it was
I'm
business,
saying
I'd be
sure.
shitting on it.
From the business
Oh, for
side,
sure.
I understand because think about every corporation that has been around, and maybe Discmania was getting into some money troubles, and House of Disc was like, "Hey, We can help you out. So maybe they saved them. There might be that angle to it. Again, probably not. But anytime a company does this, the people that really get screwed are the people working for them. Whether it's disc golf, whether it's an office job, the people that are the ones taking the brunt of it are the low level people or the people that do all the hard work. I don't think UC is going to be like, oh, yeah, I guess I can only buy like 7 Teslas instead of 6. Like, I don't know. It's
Test hers.
that's
Yeah.
easy, fella.
No, but I do also think like this could also be a ramification of contracts getting bigger and bigger, right? Like Discmania probably threw $1 million at Gannon Burr, or Ontala maybe less than that, 500, 750,000. But like you start to see the player contracts, and now all of a sudden it doesn't make more sense to consolidate as an organization like this to where you're pulling your money across 5 brands and a gaming company. Don't forget the gaming company, guys. The gaming company is kind of huge with how that can kind of like pull, especially like when they're have cornered the market in mobile games right now for disc golf, where they're selling player packs and skins. Anyways, sorry, I'm segueing, but you're pulling all of this money to pay for a player rather than Discmania. What was the return on that investment initially and continuing to be? Because I mean, I can't expect the Gannon Burr MD5 sold 100,000 discs to offset some of that initial cost, because it's an MD5 for crying out loud, and nobody really like bought into that mold in the first place. But I get curious about some of that. So as we see contracts go up and up, that's kind of what you start to see with some of these network deals, right? Like, okay, cool, NBA, everyone shares the TV rights, and it's broken up into this, and this is where you're going to see all the teams get a little bit of that cost. If you're going to start to see some of that start to happen, where you need these groups in order to disseminate some of this funding that's coming into the sport.
Well, and you have to realize that we are still a very niche disc, or a very niche sport, where we don't have the benefit of those big companies where we are on a lot of broadcast TV. A lot of us watch a lot of
Microsoft Teams. Come on now.
Okay.
We got that Microsoft money.
But LL Bean money, whatever.
Chess.com.
But chess. But you still have to realize that we are not a big sport. So it might be big to us and the people that follow it, but on a scale from, NFL to us, it's pretty big. So a lot of these companies, get even the biggest contract in disc golf, $10 million. I'm pretty sure like pro players make that in half a year. Like Shohei Ohtani's making $80 million or something stupid a year. So, and he's getting that for 10 years. So we are nothing to him. I'm not saying that in a bad way. He's probably gambling on it right now, but that's a different story. But I'm interested to see in the long term what it's going to look like. Are we going to see some cool stuff out of it? Is Stamp God going to get a cool job? And maybe he puts out some awesome disc for somebody else. I would hope that his gifts are used in disc golf continued. Will Manny be able to put stamps on different stuff? I don't know. I'll try and see the positive out of it, but it's going to be tough.
Manny does put stamps on different things, though.
I know, but I'm saying, do you think this will open up? Because he's mainly known for Discmania. Will he be able to make some cool stuff for Ricky now?
It's possible. It's possible.
I like Trilogy plastic. I bag a couple Trilogy things. West Side. There's stuff.
Yeah, it's not
like
shit on like, yeah, and it's not even Trilogy. It's House of Disc now. Get it right. House of Disc plastic isn't the worst feeling. It beats in super quick. But some of the plastics kind of came out impressive, and I think the Felons really highlight like the last like 3 or 4 releases of Felons. I think really showcase the diversity of what the plastics can do for a mold. So like I said, like I'm not shitting on them as a company. They're going to do what's in their best interest, like companies do. I just get really, like I said, like the people that are displaced, the people that potentially have to uproot their families, because like they're not terminating everybody, but there are the people that have to like maintain and ship it. And for me, it's the relationships. I know specifically that Dynamic has ruined relationships with plenty of people in brick and mortars, and knowing that now all of a sudden, where you had the option of not going to Dynamic Disc and be like, okay, cool, we just won't carry you. Now you have to, if you're trying to bag any of these 5 companies, which is kind of an unfortunate side in the United States. And it just makes it kind of hard to navigate. Ultimately, I mean, if these discs are going to sell, they're going to sell. I just think about, like, I think I was on here. This had to be like when Tatar won, capped off her complete sweep of the majors. And I was talking about how fucked up it was that they release so that they can make the money. And then after all of their initial release on the website sold out, then they finally opened up to the brick and mortars for the off-put products. But by then, everybody who wanted one had already bought one. So we had people in stores sitting on, hey, I got 50 Claymores that we can't fucking sell with the stamp on it. And that's kind of the hard thing. So I think we're going to see more of that, where we're eliminating your ability to kind of navigate and forcing it to be purely through online, which as a consumer kind of sucks, right? Like, I like to go and support brick and mortars. I always do that. I'm always going to try to do that. And starting to kind of see some of that is going to make it kind of frustrating. And it's as people and are going to continue to suffer. I think the pros, they're going to throw what's paying them the most, because clearly Gannon showing that it works.
I just thought about this. Remember you used to have Eagle was throwing Innova made stuff. Will we see dynamic disc in bags of Discmania players?
I'd be curious to see what the contract is going to look like.
Could you see a Discmania guy throwing a Grace?
I don't think so quite yet. I think right now I know Castaplast, just because the boy Wonder, the Wonderkin, he's only allowed 3 non-casta molds, and that's open to everybody, not limited to the house.
But okay, now Castaplast is a much smaller. Well, not anymore.
But that's what I mean. Like, I can see like Casta being like, yeah, we don't have the things, but you get 3 discs, but they have to be under House of Discs.
Yeah,
I can see that. So I can see that maybe the next year or two. Forecaster, I think DM has enough molds to be like, don't be throwing.
Well, what if some of the lower level DM guys, like not the Sky team, but what if you have
the Casey Whites?
Yeah, what if you have some guys that are like, hey, you can throw 5 discs that are made by House of Plastic or House of Disc?
I think that's going to be curious to see what House of Discs warrants, like the marketing strategy for that, because I think, and this is the thing now that this corporation owns them, if they decide, hey, Gannon throwing a Grace is worth more than him throwing a DD, put a Grace in his hand, I think we'll start to see the pressure of House of Discs put on Gannon and have him. Not that Gannon's throwing a DD, but you know what I mean? Like, if it's worth Ricky to throw a DD3 over a Rive, I think you'll see that change, and I think you'll start to see some of that finagling. But I think we're probably 3 years out from that, because you got to see the return and how things kind of start to look like. And unfortunately, contracts are on a year-to-year basis, so limiting players to DM only, you're not going to change that in the middle of the season.
Yeah,
it could definitely change the landscape of disc golf.
Or it couldn't, and it could just be them dominating Europe, because like I said, I think they monopolize Europe disc golf now with this. I mean, I'm hard pressed to see many companies break into the Europe market besides Prodigy with Seppo, but Seppo hasn't been playing for a few years, and I know he has a lock with Vino and that same, but I wouldn't be surprised to see Vino hop on DM next year.
Trilogy players throwing a Berg? Heck yeah, Jake Miller. I'm all for
it. Can you imagine getting Burr with a Berg?
He'd probably throw to Country Mile.
Country Mile. Anyways, great news. Awesome. Mild take. Great disc review, guys. As always, we got 2.5 good segments for you tonight. So with that,
I'm not a confrontational person. You all made me do hot takes, and I don't like hot takes. I like mild takes at best, but it gets conversation. That's all I'm here to do.
Also, one more thing. I'm going to use this platform for it.
TSA isn't that bad, guys. Come on. Is that
Grow It? Grow It is helping out some juniors raise some money to go to Worlds. So we have a pretty big raffle happening right now. Lots of mystery boxes, lots of bags over on the Bin page on Facebook. You can go support some young kids, get to Worlds, and win some awesome prizes.
It's like Ledgestone over here. Come on.
Anyway, I think Grow It does a lot of great work. I do second that. And the tickets aren't too expensive for all of the prizes. You can win a private lesson with me, Paige. I'm just kidding.
Oh, gosh.
I charge by the hour. You can just,
I think, hey, Josh, you do have some pretty legit stuff on there. I will say that.
So, as always, guys, thank you for tuning in. We had some, like I said, 2.5 good takes. With that, always love our sponsors and show love for our sponsors. Go like and subscribe our Facebook page, Jammers in the Rough. Like and subscribe to CH Sports. There's one last comment before
Grow
we
it.
sign out. Keep growing it and keep jamming in the rough. We out.